Mike Fairlack here to talk to you. So, UV Health is trying to contact me. An uncle of mine gave me a heads up via text. They are looking for a sucker to be power of attorney for my father. They're looking for a working class sucker. I'm sure, they see, they went to the IRS. They see I work 2 jobs, and everything. Yeah, they're looking for a working class sucker to be power of attorney for this guy. No, it won't be me. There are actually 2 cities in the state I live in. I didn't know if it was one or the other, where this place was. That either one, it doesn't matter, because in my opinion, both of these cities are responsible for every time my state has flipped blue. Except for the last time. Anyways, no, I will not be power of attorney for this guy. If I sign papers, and first of all, I would want to talk to a lawyer, and nope. But they will take, if I be power attorney for this guy, they will take all I've worked for from me and give it to him. His debt will become my debt. Nope, ain't gonna happen. I was his victim as a child, and I will not let myself be a victim to government, state or federal, now, and be a power of attorney for this male feminist loser. I'm not the one who pampered him till he was 39, 40, whenever she died, but and that's not me judging my grandmother. That would be his mother, my grandmother, and that's not me making a judgment call on her. She did what she could in the short. The woman only lived to be 72, I think, somewhere. Anyway, she did what she could in her short life, including emptying out her own retirement savings, so that Sonny Boy didn't have to do time for the federal crime of which he was convicted of, child abuse. Nope, I'm not going to be a victim to this government. A government that would say, your victimhood don't matter, 'cause you voted for Trump. You did not vote the way the elitist powers told you to on CNN and MSNBC. Well, this is me, Mike Perlack, and I'm officially, I've done it already, but I'm officially declaring my independence from my government and any obligation to my male feminist, narcissist, loser, father, can't fucking hammer a nail into a wall, Dumbo. But this is not me judging my grandmother. The woman owned and managed property in the 1950s and 60s, and that was not common for a lady back then. But I don't agree with actions she took later in life, specifically the one I mentioned. But I'm not in the judgment business. That's God's domain. I always thought it would just happen. I would have a family one day, but for whatever reason, it just never happened. I had opportunities, but I was like, do I really want to now when I'm in college? I had opportunities, but I could have gone left. Instead, I went right many times in my life. But I like to think I'd be a good father, but I don't know that for sure. As a survivor of abuse myself, I don't know that for sure. I do know, if I'm not going to be a dad, I don't see any reason to obligate myself to a earthly female. I guess for my grandmother, her son's wants, my father, her son's wants were more important than her grandkids' needs and safety. Over the years, there's been plenty of family members who have bent over for this guy. Not me. Not anymore. One of my last conversations that I had with the boy, a little over a year ago before I cut him off completely, He was going on and said, "My mother is a genius," he proclaimed. "She could take $1 and make it $10. Well, the part he left out is he was costing her $20, so she still died penniless. That's the part the boy left out. Whatever love means in the mind of a female, I am convinced my mother felt it for her boyfriend, the man she spent the majority of her time on this earth with, 84 to his passing a year ago, almost a year ago. But I'm convinced she felt it for him. But she never married him. She was married to my father, and she didn't really love him, and I don't blame her. My own feelings about my father, at best, I tolerated him. I tolerated him for humor's sake. I will admit in the past, I tolerated him because I saw him as a cure for boredom in my own life. I assure you, one day I too, like all humans, will pass away from this earth. And I have faith that only then will I get a lot of answers. And I'm okay with that. I'm at peace. I have 2 good jobs, a beautiful home, and peace. And I sure as hell ain't going to let my father interfere in that. As for my grandmother, I don't know. Maybe my grandfather, being a immigrant from Europe during World War II. Maybe he was not what my grandmother thought a husband should be. I thought it was okay. A little temperamental, not abusive, at least not to me, anyways. My sister puts him up on a pedestal. But we're all guilty of that. My mother's mom, my grandmother on my mom's side, I pedestalized her in the past, I will admit. We all do that, especially a family member that has passed. We all do that. It's human. My father's dad, my grandfather, likewise, also did not have a very long life. But I had to go get this picture out to talk about the next thing I'm going to talk about. This picture sparks a couple of pretty distinct memories for me. This is us in the room in family services the day the authorities took myself and my sisters away from our father. That's my youngest sister there in the foreground sitting on the chair. That's my sister Michelle way in the background there. That's me holding a toy car. And the little girl on my grandmother's lap is a cousin of ours. A cousin whose dad, I remember that day having a conversation with him off to the side. My grandmother, when we were all excited, myself, my 2 sisters, is our stuff going to be okay? Is our stuff going to be... Oh, yeah, your stuff... Grandmother, oh, yeah, your stuff will be fine. It'll be there when you come home. And she was acting like we're going home tomorrow or something. And, I just remember talking to my uncle, the father of the little girl sitting on my grandma's lap, off to the side. Boy, she really thinks we're going home, huh? She doesn't understand. Your son's been convicted of child abuse. Another memory that this picture kind of sparks for me is I recall my grandmother. If I hold it far away, maybe if you zoom in, maybe you can see it clearly in the playback. But I remember my grandmother, I was all excited. I always wanted a remote control car when I was a kid. Never had one until that moment. And I remember my grandmother saying to me, "Yeah, your father thought you might like that." Now, I couldn't articulate this back then, but what I was thinking at that moment as an 11-year-old, Grandma, I can't conceive of the notion of my father having a thought like that, as his son, might like something, might take pleasure in something. That concept is alien to me, Grandma. That's what I was thinking in my head. I couldn't articulate it, of course, back then, but that's what I was thinking at that moment. Hey, your father thought you might like that. I don't want this video to be too much longer, but to my sisters, I'm sorry. One of them I can't really talk to because she's in such a bad state. My other sister has health issues, but I was able to talk a little bit. We did talk a little bit about this, but I'm sorry, Michelle. As I already stated when we talked, you got to get used to the idea that something is going to happen to him, or 'cause of him. Either way, we won't even know about it or know very little of the details. It is what it is. Another distinctive memory. This would have been probably later that because they didn't come out that evening. Probably earlier in the evening. When I realized that okay, family services got whatever they need, and we're never going to go home again. I remember feeling a secret sorrow in my heart. One, I was happy that we were no longer going to have to live under the thumb of a male feminist loser, my father. But I still had a certain sorrow in my heart that day, leaving in the car with our caseworker, John Schlacks. I remember him. It was a secret sorrow I felt because even though I was happy we were not going to be living with my father anymore, I had kind of like gotten comfortable at school. I was happy at school. I accepted who I was. I was a class clown, whatever. And I was happy at school. I was happy in knowing my place in grade school. But I also was realizing that I was never going to see a girl I had a crush on when I was 11 again. You know how it is when you're a kid. But that's that. They can keep trying to contact me, and I'm just not going to answer, and I don't answer my phone anyways. I'm done. I'm not going to be power of attorney for this guy. I'm not going to let his actions destroy my life now, the life I've created for myself. And with that, I can't not get political, so I'm going to end with some cool things I heard from Dr. Steve recently. Dr. Steve Turley of Turley Talks YouTube channel. Anyways, oh man, I used to have his channel all to myself. Now there's nothing. Every freaking minute there's an ad. It's like everybody knows about Dr. Steve now. I don't have them all to myself anymore. But anyways, he said, Dr. Steve said, people who voted for Kamala, and certainly people who still support Democratic leaders, elitist leaders, and rhinos, Republican rhinos, the only people that support the Democrat now are people who know they are being lied to and are okay with it. Yep. Another cool thing he said, really, Republicans are dysfunctional, but not suicidal. Democrats, on the other hand, are both dysfunctional and suicidal. It's all about your feelings. You gotta, do what you gotta do in the moment. The hell with the future. That's the Democratic Party philosophy. Mike Parallak, thank you for your time. Enough said.